welcome back to Earth Station Trek, a show where we trek from the early days on NBC to the future on Paramount Plus and everywhere in between. I'm Charles Kelso, and it's my privilege to introduce the Earth Station Trek crew: Keith Johnson,
You broke my heart.
Alan Seiler,
And you broke mine.
and Veronica Dashel.
Hi.
Are you guys planning those now?
No, that's great.
And welcome back. All right, Alan, we got some news tonight.
We have a little bit of news. It's not actually Trek news. It is Trek adjacent news. But Michelle Yeoh, the big news of the week, has
Yes.
become the second ever woman of color to win a Best Actress Oscar award.
Wow.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And the first of
Congratulations,
Asian
her.
heritage.
Yeah, exactly. And that comes after Halle Berry's 2001 win for, what was the thing about the monsters?
Monsters Ball.
Monsters Ball. Thank you.
Okay.
Yes.
Wow.
Yeah, so way to go, Michelle Yeoh. And her, I mean, we kind of knew it would happen because she won every other award leading up to this. And
Right.
everything everywhere has literally won everything everywhere. But not all at once. So, but still, good for her. It was fantastic. Her acceptance speech was amazing.
Mhm.
And I'm just thrilled for her.
Yeah, absolutely. That's great news.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You know what I like about it is, even though Star Trek doesn't have just a plethora of Oscar winners, Star Trek has always had really, really good actors and actresses going back, forever, from Brock Peters to Gene Simmons to all kinds of other just really great actors. And then weird people like Iggy Pop.
Yeah.
They get some good actors on that series.
Yeah.
Yeah. I don't know if Iggy Pop's one of them, but yeah,
Thank you.
Thank you. Great actors.
Well, he's definitely memorable.
That's true.
But don't forget, and of course I'm forgetting because I'm blanking on her name, Kai Wynn.
Louise Fletcher.
Louise Fletcher won.
That's
Right, Oscar
for-
winner. Good.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Won
point,
for
yeah.
Cuckoo's Nest. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, great
So,
for
yeah.
her.
So Michelle Yeoh, stands among some Trek greats. Well, I mean, she did anyway, but now she
Right.
has an award to show for it.
That's right.
There was a little discussion on our Facebook group where I posted it. I said, I wonder if they'll be able to get her if they want her. And what I mean by this, if they're still going to try to do the Section 31. And I think a couple of people said, well, why wouldn't they be able to get her? And what I really meant was, it doesn't always mean this, but will she get a lot of offers, and will she be so busy that maybe she can't work? You just don't know. Sometimes it doesn't translate into a whole lot of extra work. Sometimes it does. I think for her it will.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well,
Yeah.
I think she would have got those offers anyway, just because her profile has been so high for the last 5 or more years. I think that, because something like Everything Everywhere would not have come her way had her profile not been that high. And, when you watch the Daniels talk about the film, they had her in mind for that role. There's no guarantee they would have got her. And they were surprised when they sent her the script and she was interested.
Nice.
So, I think that just being Michelle Yeoh is profile
Nice.
enough and award enough as well.
Right.
All right, Keith, we have some This Week in Trek this week.
Yeah, I got a couple of things real quick. This I thought was a pretty big deal. On the 12th of March, 1975, Gene Roddenberry finalized the deal with Paramount Pictures to produce Star Trek movies on
Wow.
the big.
Sweet.
Yeah, and that started a whole new world, because I think, as everybody probably knows, there had been a lot of talk about, was it called Phase 2? Originally, that was going to be the
This
next
series was. Yeah.
Right.
So
And
did
there
they
was
ever make any movies?
just a couple. And it was so funny. There was a couple of things, I guess, were serendipitous. They were having some issues bringing up a series for the studio again and getting everybody together and so forth. But of course, a big thing that later really just made them go with the movie in theater was Star Wars, which
Well,
just
yeah, of
affected
course.
so many people. So
Yeah.
and the rest is history. I think that's pretty cool.
Yep. They were like, look at that young upstart making all the box
Yeah.
office money. We could be doing that.
Right.
Yeah, another one, I think this is a very significant too. On the 14th of March, 1967, this is a big deal because the first is always cool, but the second is better. And on that date, 1967, NBC officially announced renewal of Star Trek for a second season, which, yeah, no one knew for sure if that was going to happen. And I don't know what would have happened if it had been canceled after the first season. It was an amazing first season.
Well,
so
we
we'd all
wouldn't be here now.
I agree. Yeah. If it hadn't gotten that second season and then that third season. One other thing that was a little sad though was just a few days after NBC announced the second season, they broke a promise they made to Gene Roddenberry. They told Gene they were going to give Star Trek a plum spot at 8:30 p.m. on Tuesday nights. And then just a few days later, they said, "Hey, Gene, we're going to move you guys to Friday night at 7:30," which, as you know, can be kind of a death.
Right.
Two more and then we're done. This I thought was fascinating. On also 14th of March, but in 1968, David Gerrold submitted what everybody agreed was an underdeveloped script that dealt with a strange alien who the Enterprise brought on board, who was trying to help solve some kind of interplanetary crisis. The alien, however, turned out to be a practical joker who irritated Spock because he was so illogical, Spock couldn't find any way to even talk to him. The point of this was David Gerrold wanted to say, in a time where we say this is a future without prejudice, what if prejudice still exists? And I really would like to see what would it take to cause a Vulcan to be prejudiced against someone. Now, in addition to being a strange practical joker and having a mind that even Spock found it difficult to interface with, this alien had the ability to split his body into parts. And those parts could operate independently.
Right.
And as I think you all know, while this did not make it into the live action series, that script made it into the animated series.
Yep.
It became the essence of BIM.
And they brought the species back on Lower Decks even.
Yep.
Right.
It really would have been interesting to see them try and realize that character on screen in live action.
Yeah, I agree, Alan. I don't know how they would have done that because all those body parts were floating around and all that kind of stuff. Would have been difficult. And I remember the little limbs coming out of his legs area and stuff like that. All right, and the last one. This I thought was fascinating. Also, this is a birthday, and I gotta say I didn't know this name. On the 12th of March, 1913, was born one Luli Jean Norman. Does that ring a bell? Okay. Excuse me.
Okay. That's pretty good.
Keith. That's
Thank
impressive.
you. That is the lady who was the soprano who sang the no lyrics at the time opening theme to Star Trek.
Right.
Alexander Courage. And I'm going to try something here, guys. And if this fails, Charles, please forgive me. Cut this out. See if you.
Nope.
No promises.
Can you hear this? See if you can hear this.
Yep.
You hear that?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, we can't now, but
Hear that?
No. Oh, wait.
no.
What is it?
This is gripping for podcast listeners.
Is it the planetary sound effect?
Yes. It's kind of this.
Right.
She also, and I didn't know this, she also was the haunting voice that you heard in the background in The Cage and the Menagerie when Pike would have his illusions, such as when he was fighting the big guy at the castle. You also hear that sound where I just played it when Kirk is taken over by the spores in This Side of Paradise. You hear that music recycled in Wolf in the Fold. And if you remember in The City on the Edge of Forever, when McCoy first appeared, it was out of his mind. They played that music and you heard her doing that haunting voice. I didn't know that. I have always loved that sound, but that was Luli John Norman.
Awesome.
That's cool.
Yeah. And that is This Week in Trek History.
Awesome. Well, if you're listening on the audio podcast, we'll take a quick break and promote a fellow ESO Network podcast show. But don't go away because we'll be talking about Star Trek Picard, Season 3, Episode 5, Imposters. Stay right there.
Boy. Oh, boy.
And if you're watching with us live, we're going to continue on and talk about Star Trek Picard, Season 3, Episode 5, Imposters. And this was an exciting episode.
Yes.
Just to give you guys a little behind the scenes on our Earth Station Trek, I did a host chat real quick, and I sent "holy chit," but I used the real word. I'm loving the show, and well, I don't think my boss listens to this. I watched it at work, and then Alan's like, and Charles is like, it must be good because I usually watch the shows like right before we air. And then later on, I said, no spoilers, Alan. Then a couple hours later, Alan's watching it on his lunch break, and Alan's like, holy, same thing. And we were like, wow.
Just swapping expletives through our little
Right.
Yeah. Wow.
I didn't message anybody at 5 a.m. when I finished watching it.
I was actually up.
But yeah, this is a good episode. We should throw out a spoiler alert for
spoilers.
If you've not
no kidding.
Watch it before you watch this because there's some big things in this one.
Yeah, don't be dumb and spoil yourself. Don't listen to us if you haven't watched it.
Right.
Yeah, boy. Because you can't unhear some of this stuff.
And we before we get too far into it, we got a couple of Facebook comments. Did you want to grab those, Alan?
Awesome.
Just a few hellos and then a question.
Oh,
a Facebook user said, "Is that a 2001 pinup behind Charles's head?" I just wanted to say yes, it is on this side. It's and it's autographed. I got it autographed by both of them at DragonCon.
Nice.
Now we can continue.
Very important.
Michael Phillips is saying hello, watching on YouTube, Phillips, which is great. And
Michael.
And Wade is saying hello from Dallas, also watching on YouTube. That's awesome.
Hey, Wayne.
What's up, buddy?
Yeah. Thanks for joining us, folks. Yeah. So where do you guys want to start tonight? Do you want to start with the special guest star, or did you want to start somewhere else? Let's talk about Ro.
Guest star.
Let's talk about Ro.
Yes.
Ro Laren came back.
Yeah.
Holy moly.
Were there any words that anyone heard about that?
Yeah. Was anybody spoiled for this?
Yes. I did not know at all.
No, not spoiled.
I had no clue.
Me either.
Blue.
Yeah.
Because there have been those rumors, and it seems like that Denise herself confirmed at some point that she is in the season somewhere. I don't know how true that is, but I never, and I was kind of hoping that there would be some other TNG drop-ins from, some of the significant characters, but no. God, I was floored when she comes walking out.
Yeah.
Right.
Holy moly.
And kudos to them for keeping that secret all this time because they filmed this a while back.
Yeah.
And I mean, they sent out a lot of screeners to like Twitter and reviewers and things, and it didn't get out.
Yeah.
At least it didn't cross my feed. So that was a pretty exciting moment when Ro Laren showed up. So how did you guys feel about Ro Laren coming back?
I of two minds. I loved seeing her because I don't think an exaggeration to think that she is probably simply one of the most popular, what you would call guest act stars in all of Trek history. I think so many of us were sad when she left the franchise and did not become the second in command of Cisco in Deep Space Nine. So I love seeing her. Michelle Forbes just has a presence about her. I can't stand what they did to her in the episode, though.
Okay.
In tonight's episode?
I hate. Yeah, I just sometimes it's kind of like what they did with, was it Icheb? I hate it when they bring a character that I feel so important and kill them off in the exact same episode. Yeah. I wanted her to stay around. I really did. Yeah. That was my only problem.
Go ahead.
No, I was just say I can see that. I mean, it was a big criticism of season one that they didn't bring back Icheb or bring back
Maddox.
Who's his face? Maddox.
Yeah.
And then it just immediately killed him. I think it worked a little bit differently for me here because for one, it was Michelle Forbes and she had a meaningful role. And but she wasn't just tortured and murdered. Both Maddox and Icheb were just killed. Like she gave her life for a purpose.
Right. And she was given a significant storyline and it was only one episode, but it meant something.
Right.
I thought it was phenomenal. I loved it.
I'm
gonna say this goes back to last week too. I feel like some of the conflict between her and Picard and the touchiness and stuff maybe went on a little too long. I think it dragged on. I mean, I just don't need that much of that stuff. But
that's a good point, Alan. I'm sorry. Go ahead.
Go ahead. No.
Let me let you finish your thought because you just spurred something in my mind.
Well, then go right ahead.
It's funny you say that because I think if they had her on a few more episodes, maybe they wouldn't have had to kind of up the conflict between them. Because I think you make a good point. Because one of the things I did say was when she said that Picard wants everybody to be like him, and basically she said he wants everybody to be a perfect little Starfleet soldier. That is not Picard. That doesn't define Picard. Picard is not blindly loyal to Starfleet. Picard honestly thinks Starfleet is a great outlet for people who sometimes have troubles and have energy they can't direct, like himself. That's why he wanted Ro in Starfleet. So the way she was accusing Picard of trying to mold her into this perfect image of him, I didn't agree with that. So I agree with you. I thought that was a little extreme. But at the same time, I remember the Next Generation episode when Riker comes to Picard and tells him that Ro Laren betrayed them. I got to tell you, the look of anger on Patrick Stewart's face, it's literally one of the greatest acting moments I've ever seen that man do. Amazing. And so I could see 30 years later, he's still hurting over that.
Yeah, I totally see that as well. And to the point you just made, yes, he does see Starfleet as that place that troubled people can come for sort of a redemption. They can come and be embraced, but in that he is essentially trying to mold them into what he thinks is right. He's not saying, Ro Laren, come in and be in Starfleet and keep doing your crazy wacko, stuff that you keep doing. Come in and be Starfleet. And it's interesting that we had that moment between the two of them when he basically said exactly the same thing to his son in this episode. Why don't you come and be in Starfleet and maybe pick a more honorable path? And he's like, are you kidding me? Have you been paying attention? Do you see who I am? No thanks. So I thought that the parallels between those two characters was super interesting.
Yeah, but I at least understand with Picard because he was such he was kind of he wasn't a wild youth, but he was a rebellious youth and he was a damaged youth. So I could see him. But I remember in the episode when Ensign Ro was introduced, I remember he said to her, I see things in you that could be, he did say that could be molded, harnessed. But one of the things I like about that exchange back then was she said, funny, I always thought Starfleet could learn a lot from me. Yeah. And what I love was his response was, that's a trait I've always seen in our finest officers. And so I think they were kind of missing each other, what he really wanted for her and what she thought he wanted for her. Yeah. But man, it was just so great to see Michelle Forbes on screen just for even that time.
Yes. Because she had a role on Battlestar Galactica.
Mm-hmm. Yes.
And it was great, but you still just want Ro. Mm-hmm. So we finally got her.
Veronica, what did you think?
I was very surprised, and like you guys said, I wanted her to stick around for a while longer. I don't feel like we got enough of her.
Yeah, I was amazed that not only did we get Ro, which is great. I mean, it's kind of not too surprising for familiar faces to show up this year because it's sort of like the theme this year.
Yeah.
But then also that it was a direct follow-up to her, her last episode, where they were directly talking about the things that happened on the show and their feelings about it. And 30 years later, like, oh, who expected that? Like, that's crazy,
Yeah.
Totally. This is a show that you have to know your Star Trek. You're going to miss stuff if you don't know all those past connections. And these are throwaway lines, but I thought also that it was really kind of funny when Captain Shaw starts quoting the deep cuts to them when they're like, we saved the universe a time or two. And he's like, you know what else you also did? This thing and this thing and this thing. And I was like, damn.
And I love it. Alan following up on that when he basically said, I'm going to leave the three of you alone so you can get your BS stories together. And he used that word.
I love him so much.
That was greatness. Yes. I love when he's in the turbo lift just humming. When he's knocking off. He's always in a great mood.
Yes, he's always singing, gonna get court-martialed, gonna get court. He was so happy about that. That was so funny.
What was the reason? I mean, these guys came on his ship and shanghaied it and then almost got everybody killed.
Yes.
Exactly.
Right, go on with the comments.
Okay, let's get some things going on here. Michael says, I more or less agree with Keith. Roe dying was very dramatic, but I would rather have she stayed on a little longer. We all agree on that one.
Yeah.
Because I kind of, as soon as she walked out, I kind of thought she's going to have sort of the Admiral Cornwell kind of role on this show.
Right.
But no, she was a one and done. And I mean, it was a really good one and done. But Wade says, I just thought this is farewell show for Picard. Sure is. And they're sending everybody off.
It's like
Michael then says, I thought the confrontation scene between Roe and Picard was the best scene in the episode.
No, we haven't gotten to the best scene in the episode.
Okay, you got another best scene.
Oh, she's got. Okay. Oh. Actually, I do have some other ones that are contenders for that. Let's see. Wayne now says I was referring Picard's tendency to use himself as the example. Okay, so a couple of new ones that have come in. He also says, when Rose started heading toward the nacelle, I literally started shouting, "No!" at the TV.
Me too.
Yeah, me too.
Me too. I was like, beam out, emergency transporter, something.
Right.
Crap.
Yeah.
Or just jump out and they can beam you.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly.
If these damn people would wear spacesuits, they could get out of a whole lot of situations. Because you're right, Josh. All shit could have jumped out of the airlock.
Okay. And Michael says one thing I didn't like about Captain Shaw in this episode was his hesitation at the end. I would have liked it better if he had immediately seen the truth of the situation and said red alert.
Yeah, I think it's consistent with what we've seen from him, though. I mean, he made it clear from his first episode that he's not a crash the starship and battle blazing kind of a captain. He expects just an orderly, like we're going to our destination, we're following our orders. This is not your kind of adventure. And now he's caught up in one.
Yeah.
So
I mean, exactly.
I didn't mind that took him a minute. I like to see that turn in him, and now he's gonna have to deal with that for the next however many episodes.
Yeah, I could see that too.
Plus, because he's already shown himself to be like, I have no interest in any of this BS that Picard and Riker are bringing onto my ship. I don't want it. And here they are throwing some more BS at me. So of course it's going to take him a minute to come around to actually agreeing with what Picard is telling him.
Yeah, and I agree with what Charles said too, because also I thought about that. Given everything he's been through, think about this: the same two guys who tried to hijack his ship now say, "Oh, hey, new problem. Changelings have taken over the Federation, and oh, by the way, Roe, who just died, beamed most of your crew over to that other ship, and that ship is now the enemy. So we got to get out of here." And he's like, "What?" He's probably like, "WTF?"
I mean, it's a lot to take in, and the person who came on intentionally to commandeer your ship now says, "You have to trust me."
Yes.
No, I don't. You have
right.
No.
So, in that exchange, and that question, I have a question. Why did Roe transfer most of his crew to the Intrepid, which she already knew it was taken over by changelings? Does she have a reason to think that Shaw's crew was compromised? Because otherwise, she just put a whole bunch of people on the ship where changelings are going to kill them all. What was the point of that?
I don't think the changelings are going to kill them all on the Intrepid. I think she was trying to get people away from there. So Picard had a small crew because it seemed like her plan in the end was for Picard to run off and save the day. It seemed like.
Yeah, I don't know how having a small crew would help, but
me either.
That's what she did. So I don't know.
So
I didn't get that.
It was interesting that we also, in these same scenes, found out the identity of the person that Worf was working for.
Mm-hmm.
Wow.
Yeah.
Was that powerful?
Right.
Yeah.
Wow.
Right.
That was
really
my good.
Gosh. I love that she's gotten this really great send-off, that they devoted an episode to bring her back and to give her this. I mean, okay, it was one episode, but they gave her this significant material, gave her an important part of the storyline, and they didn't have to do that. I mean, they were fine with just the main cast,
Yeah.
Main cast plus Moriarty, main cast plus Lore, whatever. They didn't have to bring Michelle Forbes back, but I'm just so thrilled that they did.
And something else I thought was interesting that I actually bought the explanation of how she got back into Starfleet, because you might go, how the heck is somebody court-martialed twice? Well, think about it. She was court-martialed once for disobeying. Then she's court-martialed for being a Maquis. What better person to use his intelligence as an undercover agent, especially from the side of intelligence that leans towards Section 31? They're like, oh yeah, this woman is perfect. She'll do whatever it takes. And she's got a great cover. So I can see the fact that they've got her out and said, okay, you're back in Starfleet once again.
Yeah.
And when she's undercover, nobody's going to believe that she's been court-martialed and back in Starfleet twice.
Exactly. So she's a perfect undercover.
And that's basically the path that we saw in season 1 of Disco with Michael, where she was busted, put in jail, and then busted out of jail in order to do a specific task.
Right.
Yeah.
And now look at her. She's captain of a starship.
Right.
Yep.
Yeah.
All right, Veronica, what was the best scene in the episode for you?
When Worf came back to life.
Okay.
I wondered how they were going to do that. I didn't know if they were going to. I didn't expect him to do the whole Zen Buddhism thing. I thought they were going to say, because Klingons have redundant organs. I thought they were going to say she got kidney number 1 of 4 or some crap like that.
1 of 4. What are they, Borg?
Right. But yeah, he's going full on like samurai master in this version of Worf.
Yeah.
I love it. I'm really loving Worf and Raffi still.
Yes.
Yes.
I am loving the way that Worf is written in this show. And I think that Dorney's performance is perfect.
And they are leaning into the old white-haired samurai or kung fu master, because in the battle they fought, they even did one of the scenes where he basically was fighting her with one hand, which you've seen in like every kung fu movie ever. And I love their chemistry when he starts meditating, and she basically says, "Oh, the meditating thing again. You knew I was about to beat you." I thought that was great.
Yeah, their banter is really fun. Yeah.
And they really haven't changed Raffi much from who she was.
Yeah.
It's just that chemistry just works. They just figured out a way to make her work.
Yeah.
Yes. And I always liked her, but I always found her to be kind of an awkward character, like especially in season 1, like she was just crowbarred into the story. And I think, and I said this before, they tried so hard to give her this significant past with Jean-Luc or JL that it just felt disingenuous. But this feels right. It feels natural. It feels like they fit together. It's so good.
Agreed.
All right. Michael is bringing up a question that might be leading to a question that I have. Question: is Deanna going to be an actual part of the narrative, or is she going to just appear on video in flashbacks? I'm seriously how they're going to fit everyone into the only 5 episodes left. Okay, so we're going to get to that. My point when we were talking about bringing back Ro Laren was, where is Geordi and Deanna?
Right.
Where are they? I need them. Marina has said that she is in a lot of the season. So she has to be coming in sometime soon.
And so is LeVar Burton.
Yeah, and I'm still waiting for them to go to his museum and bust out the Enterprise D.
Right.
That's going to be the best moment of the whole season.
Right. Hey, one thing. I have a question. What did we think about an evil criminal Vulcan who smiles a little bit, makes people kill each other? I mean,
weird.
That's a little strange, isn't it?
Well, they've already kind of established in Strange New Worlds that there's Vulcans that stray from the path of logic.
Yes.
Yeah. Well, there always have been. There was like Cybok was like leading cult and stuff, so I get that. But he didn't seem like he was straying from the path of logic. He seemed like his take was that Utopia has to have crime, or maybe you need the crime. Maybe there's like yin and yang. Maybe.
Yes.
He said that organized crime is logical.
Yes.
Right. And Sarek specifically said that there was no crime on Vulcan. At least, again, like not like that type. I mean, this guy's like a straight up syndicate guy. So that was a little odd to me to see a Vulcan like that. He even had a slight smile. He cracked a slight smile on his face when he told them to fight each other to the death. So I thought that was a little odd.
He's clearly not a strict adherent to the whole logic thing. He's clearly his own dude, and
yeah,
you know. Vandy Beth thinks she's schooling me when she says, Alan, Enterprise D doesn't exist anymore. It was totaled at the end of Star Trek Generations. Technicality.
We'll see.
Well,
They are going to bring that ship in. It might not be exactly the D that Deanna smashed into the surface of a planet, but it's going to be a Galaxy class ship that has been rebranded. Maybe it's going to be the Enterprise D A.
I think I don't know. You got to get the saucer of that ship off of Viridian 3.
Snap.
And just give it a new star drive section, put it in the museum as the big centerpiece.
Exactly.
And then have to like kick over the guardrails BSG style and go save the day later.
Exactly.
And I think it's
right.
Yeah, it's funny you guys talking about the D because that was actually one of Shaw's insults about them crashing the D on the planet.
Right. Well, he's made some other comments to give me theories about the show too.
Yeah.
Well, what do we think about Jack and his visions?
It's still weird.
Yeah, I can't tell what he is, and because when the changelings attacked him, it's almost like he went into some kind of combat mode, as if he was programmed. Because one thing, he definitely moved faster than human, and changelings are at least the Odo type changelings have super strength compared to humans. They pretty much have whatever strength they want, but he took them out. And I have a question again about this. I kind of sort of don't remember, would a single phaser blast to the head kill a changeling in Odo's time? I thought the answer was no, because they're just a mass. Well, I didn't think that could do it.
I remember when Odo got shot in Crossover and just like exploded. Like that was a
water
big
balloon,
like a trailer commercial. Yeah,
that was the best moment ever.
But also, these changelings are different.
Yeah, I was gonna say these changelings have like
they're more
parts.
solid. They can be more solid.
Yeah, it must be what it is. And also, and again, I'm asking because I'm getting a little confused from the past history. I always thought that they always said when a changing became a thing, that scanners showed the changing was that thing, whether it was a rock or gas or a bird. I thought changelings duplicated internal organs. I
guess they would have to know the internal organs, like pretty specifically.
Right.
You know?
Yeah. Well,
so I don't know how much of.
Go ahead.
Go ahead. I was gonna say I don't know how much of a changeling turns. You know, whether it's just like an exterior thing and it's still gooey inside or what.
Right. That's why they never shape into Klingons, because they never know how many damn livers to do.
Right.
Okay. Michael says, I thought Kryn was a Romulan at first. He also growled when he expressed his anger for Klingons. Yeah, I thought he was a Romulan also when he first walked out.
He also has those big, like, chunky ears.
Right.
Yeah.
I thought the same thing.
Ears. Yeah.
Yep. Wayne says, plus, countless times Vulcans have said they do have emotions. They just choose to suppress them.
True.
Correct? He chooses not to suppress them.
Right.
And then Michael says, I think the trope of having someone being a super badass fighter and not knowing it themselves is a bit overdone. I guess he's a sleeper agent hybrid. What if he's not Picard's son after all? That's kind of what I was getting from this, is that like, okay, so he's a sleeper agent. I'm losing a little bit of interest in the Jack plot line.
Yeah.
Like, okay, so it just seems a little too metaphysical.
I have a theory though.
I'm waiting to hear it.
Okay, so they've been making a big deal about the Borg in this show so far, and Jean-Luc's connection to the Borg, and we've seen that nanites, the Borg nanoprobes, can be transmitted various ways, either the tube or they did a virus one time. Could Borg nanoprobes be transmitted through like sexual reproduction? Could he have been born with Borg nanoprobes or attributes, and now that female voice calling out to him to connect us is the collective? Because they made a point in the show that the collective is still out there, and he even said, "Forget about that weird crap on the Stargazer," which I was trying to do already anyway. But the real Borg are still out there. So I'm wondering, is sort of something carrying over from Picard being assimilated by the Borg, that now he's passed on to Jack, or maybe it's all programmed inside him.
Yeah, I wondered the same thing too. Is he a part Borg because he's Picard's son?
Right.
But I don't know if you watched it with the captions. The voice that he hears when it's saying "Come find me" or whatever the hell it is, it says in this episode sounded like Beverly, and in the captions it specifically says Beverly.
Okay.
So it's her voice that he's hearing that's talking to him. So is she, I don't know. Is
she a changeling?
Is she the Borg Queen? Who knows?
I don't know. I hope she's not a changeling, because that would.
Oh my God, that'll irritate the snot out of me.
That would be a waste of character development so far.
Yes,
absolutely.
And I'm kind of feeling like the lady from the whatever the ship is that they're on has just completely surrendered control of her own sick bay to Beverly. Beverly just walks on, and she's like, that lady tries to put her in her place for 5 minutes, and Beverly's like, I ain't having that. And ever since then, she has been top dog in the surgery.
Right. Well, good. She should be.
No, I'm loving that.
Hey, did you guys notice when Worf was saying he wanted to find criminal contacts that they could talk to about all the shenanigans that have gone on? Did you see the names that splashed across the screen?
Yes.
Yes.
Morn.
Yeah, I saw that.
Yeah, Morn of Luria, Brunt of Ferenginar, Laurel of Renia, somebody called
Laurel.
Tuluco of Romulans, Thadium Okana.
Okana.
Omega. Yes.
That's outrageous,
man. That's awesome.
Yeah. Veronica, you were upset it wasn't Brunt.
I was.
You were rather have Brunt.
Yeah.
I was like, why? That would have been the perfect place for Brunt.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
And there was a Ferengi that was there.
Yeah.
Like, why this ring in Romulus?
Yeah, but I'm glad that Worf didn't behead Brunt.
That would have been hilarious, though.
Yeah.
Wow.
I mean, didn't Worf behead Wayoon at least once?
No, he broke his neck.
Close enough.
Yeah,
but it stayed attached though.
Yeah.
Well, this would have continued on the process.
Well, Veronica, it could have been Brunt, or it could have been, who's that crazy cousin of Quark's that was a Ward arms dealer?
Cousin Gala.
Yeah, could have been him, or it could have been that weird assassin guy that they had on the Magnificent Ferengi. Somebody like that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I would have been okay if it was Cousin Gala. That would have been phenomenal.
Yeah.
Patrick Anderson thinks that the voice that's talking to Jack is Vadic.
Could be.
Huh.
Wayne says, from the conversation with his mom, I think he was infected with something. And Michael Phillips says, the voice keeps saying, find me.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Perfect way to get Alice Krieg in there. I'm just saying.
Yes.
Wow.
It may not be, because that's a crazy theory,
No.
but I just wanted to throw my crazy theory out there.
I love it. It's smarter than any crazy theory I would have come up with.
Yeah, this episode was great. I mean, I've been enjoying it week to week. I mean, it's been a fun show so far.
It has been super fun.
Yeah.
I think at this point last year, I was already kind of like, the train was already off the tracks.
Yeah, this is the point last year where it started tipping for me. And so far it's going strong. And I mean, how are you going to mess up the one where Worf meets Riker and them again? And then you got Geordi, then you got Deanna. I mean, oh my God. I'm going back to what Michael Phillips said. I do hope Deanna has a significant part. I'm sure she will, because you still have to resolve the Riker situation, like Riker. But I hope it's not just she shows up as Riker's wife, so Riker can talk about his feelings. You're like, I want something for her as her. You know
agreed.
What I mean? So far, she's just been Riker's wife.
Yeah.
Right.
In the show so far.
Exactly.
Yeah. Would it be great if Terry Metalis, who seems to want to redress a lot of the wrongs, actually finally lets Deanna's power truly matter? You know, she finally sniffs out something, because she's always like, well, somebody in the room's hiding something, but I can't tell who or what, all that kind of mess.
Yeah. Her power, or just her intelligence.
Right.
I want anything. And I think that the way that each character that we've seen so far has been dealt with in this season, I'm sure that whatever it is that Geordi and Troy are going to get are going to be significant parts of the story. It might not be obviously as many episodes as Beverly is getting, but I mean, whatever it is they're going to get, every actor has said that they are thrilled with this season, that they felt like their characters were treated respectfully, and so I just can't wait to get those two characters on the show.
Yeah.
I think you almost have to have them because, as you were saying, Alan, it's the back half. You got 5 to go. It's literally we're halfway through. So I think they almost have to introduce both of them next week.
Yeah,
I would think.
I would think so too.
Yeah,
I hope so.
Yep.
So what do we think the odds are of Denise Crosby's turning up in some capacity?
I don't know. I mean, she could be Selah. She could be whoever. She could be another Yara. She could be like the next Brent Spiner, where she's just playing different relatives of Yar.
Maybe Selah went back in time and had a baby, and now it's her granddaughter who shows up.
Maybe so. Maybe
I'm kind of thinking not, because a couple of weeks ago I meant to post this, but Denise Crosby a couple of weeks ago she did a tweet where she said she felt left out because when they had the premiere, where they were in California, Los Angeles, whatever, they all got together to watch the show. She wasn't even invited to that, and she felt left out. And Gates McFadden, who's pretty active on Twitter, had to come back and basically say, we love you and so forth. So Denise Crosby said, she literally said something like #left out, I feel left out, or something like that.
Oh, wow.
But that could be nothing more than just, whitewashing the fence to cover up the fact that she is coming back.
I love it.
Stuff like that can mean anything. And not all of the cast was there at that premiere.
I don't know.
But she wasn't invited. That's why she specifically wasn't invited. That's why she felt left out.
I'm just saying that might not mean exactly what she's saying.
I have seen them have actors use Twitter to specifically detract. Not just Star Trek, but a lot of shows do that.
Yeah, especially with Rose showing up as well, because
like
you could work Denise in there somewhere, I'm sure.
Yes.
But my next question was going to be like, any other TNG like famous faces you think are going to pop up at some point?
Well, we still haven't got Lore, and we still haven't got Moriarty, so there's still so much stuff that has to get added in.
That's true.
I was expecting when Rogue pulled him into the holosuite to be like Moriarty in there, and Moriarty was gonna like interrogate him or something.
Me too.
I think Moriarty is either the AI protecting Daystrom, or he's the thing that they're being given to break into the AI. I think it's one of the two.
I think so too. He's connected to that somehow.
Yeah. That'd be awesome if it was that little black box and like he's been in there all this time. Yes. And that's what the guy's got. Like,
I hope
that'd be awesome. Yeah.
Okay. Michael says, I don't know how they're going to weave Moriarty and Lore into this with just 5 episodes left. Well, they're all going to be 2 hours long. That's how. Which means I'm going to have to start taking vacation time to watch all this crap. He then says Picard season 2 was completely in the weeds at this point last year. Yep.
Yeah.
He then says Deanna was the sonic screwdriver of Star Trek. Her abilities either worked or didn't as the plot required, right? Sometimes her batteries ran down like K9 and she was useless. That's hilarious. And Patrick is hoping that Janeway will show up. She was name checked this week, so I mean that makes you hopeful.
Yeah, I'd love an Admiral Janeway. I'd love an Admiral Shelby. I could go for an Admiral Shelby as well.
Yeah,
I could go for a Mr. Broccoli working at Daystrom.
I 100% want Mr. I was going to say Barkley in an episode. I 100% want him in an episode.
I mean, if you're making the point of the show, like it's familiar faces year, it's tying up loose ends year, just go all in.
Yeah. But the nice thing is that with the number of familiar faces that they're giving us, it could just be a throw actors at the screen kind of thing, but it's done in a way that's built in a really good and engaging storyline.
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
Yeah. I mean, we're only 5 episodes in now, but we've already had, Picard, Riker, Crusher, Ro have all had meaningful roles so far, as well as they've written great stuff for Captain Shaw. And 7 of 9 has had good stuff. But so I think there's still room in the show to bring everybody else in and give them something meaty.
Yep. Totally.
I am looking forward to Worf and Riker specifically. Hey, going on missions together and things. I love those two together.
Yes, I do too. And that moment. So we're getting so much closer, and it was only on a view screen, but you had that moment where Picard and Riker and Worf have their interactions. Oh my God, that was
Amazing.
the greatest. The greatest.
Mm-hmm.
Oh my God. If there's not a spinoff with Rafi and Worf, I'm just gonna cancel my Paramount Plus. I'm not really, but
until the next Star Trek show comes on, you come crawling back.
Even if it's not Worf and Rafi, it'll be something that I'll enjoy.
Right. Oh wait, the Strange New Worlds is next week. Never mind.
Speaking of Worf and Rafi, did you notice Kryn when he was talking about their first of their many subterfuges? Said, "Did you think I wouldn't recognize a mobile emitter?"
Yeah.
So they must be mass producing those things.
Yeah, they must have reverse engineered that. At least Starfleet Intelligence has it.
Yeah.
I guess they're not so worried about the temporal prime directive when it goes in their
yes.
You can pick one up easily at Emitters Are Us.
Although I still don't understand if the mobile emitter has the ability to generate an anti-gravity field where it can float, and it can create a force field because the being who's created by the mobile emitter can pick up things. Why does the mobile emitter have to show up on the outside of the holograph's clothing? The mobile emitter should just be inside the person so you can't see it. It's just weird to me.
Like Rimmer in Red Dwarf. It should just be buzzing around inside there.
That's right.
Right.
So I mean, what are we looking? What are you hoping to see over the next 5 episodes?
Geordi.
Okay.
Yeah. And I'd really like to see. I was going to post this. I'm actually going to post this. I really want to see how far up the conspiracy goes because I don't know if y'all read this, but I read an article last week, which I think I'll try to post tonight. Terry Matalas said that the original thought for the antagonist of the show for a minute was the bug creatures from Conspiracy.
I can see that.
And he thought very seriously.
The dialogue is 100% there. They said
exactly.
The top levels of Starfleet are compromised. I mean, that's like an exact quote almost from that episode in season 1. I mean,
exactly.
God, if only they had done that. I mean, I'm excited about changelings, but if only they had done the bug creatures.
Well, they sort of changed the changelings to fit in because the bug creatures I could see having to do autopsies to find them and that sort of thing.
Right.
So we haven't really got into it, but what do we feel about changing the changelings?
It depends. If they have a good explanation for it, I'll buy in.
Okay.
I mean, it makes sense that they would develop their abilities in a way. I mean, they know they're trying to infiltrate the solids and they know what their weaknesses were in trying to do that the first time round. It makes sense that they would come up with some way. I don't think it's evolution like Crusher says.
No.
Yeah,
evolution doesn't happen that fast. Right.
Star Trek has never used evolution, right?
Yeah, I'm still a little confused of the changes versus DS9. And honestly, they seem weaker to me than they did in DS9 in a lot of ways. Because in DS9, they can only detect the changeling by drawing some blood and testing it. And then they had some weird radiation that they would, not just the phaser sweeps, but they had some weird radiation that could make them lose cohesion. So they turn back into goo.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's true.
I think they may have changed to fit in better and pass all the things that the Federation put in place to make sure, and they had to sacrifice some things to be able to do that. So some of their just getting shot, they don't just explode and then turn into goo and slide away. They had to sacrifice something to be able to really infiltrate the way they wanted to.
Yeah.
They did one time turn Odo into a solid permanently, and presumably with internal organs and everything. So at least it's possible with just what we know from DS9 for it to be more permanently solid than a changeling would normally be. But also when they were talking about the different, the tests that Starfleet had post Dominion War to screen for changelings and things, and now they're past it. I just kept thinking of Joseph Sisko saying there's no test that a smart man can't get around.
Yep.
That's right.
That's he called it, man. And now we're seeing it pay off again.
That's true.
But also we were talking last time, or maybe the time before, about how the changeling effects look different. They look instead of just the pretty goo, but the changelings are different. So it makes sense in story.
It does make sense. And maybe that relates somehow to the one that we saw in Disco that got all sandy instead of gooey.
That's true.
Maybe that's just an extension of what we're seeing here. they have evolved even more. And
right,
I say evolved, but that's 1,000 years. You know, that might happen, but this is just too soon for it to actually be natural evolution.
Right.
It's got to be genetic manipulation or something like that.
Big scary faces behind it, I'm sure.
Right. Right. So I'm waiting for the rest of the season. I'm waiting for Vadic to be an actual threat, an interesting character. Yeah. She started out okay, but she just hasn't gone anywhere.
I didn't mind a break from Vadic this week.
No, me neither.
I didn't.
No more the maniacal laughter. I was thinking. Okay. Go ahead, Alan.
No, go ahead.
I'm changing subjects, so go right ahead.
That's fine. I don't care.
I was thinking, and okay. And it may be a little bit. It was a minor point, but when Ro died, I was expecting just a little more emotion from Riker, because I mean, I know it's been 30 years, but they slept together and they had an attraction for each other. So I was expecting just a little bit more when he said, "I'm sorry, Jean-Luc." But I know Jean-Luc had a much deeper relationship with her. I was expecting a little bit more.
Keith, come on. He cannot have that deep and emotional reaction to every chick he slept with.
Riker can't mourn.
Okay, it is Riker. Good point. Okay, good point. I forget who I'm talking about.
That's all he does.
That's a good point, because he had the hologram. Actually, gets a good point, Alan, because the hologram Minuet was more in his mind than anybody else. That was like his true love outside of Diana. Okay, I take it back.
I know who I want to see. You asked earlier, what other significant TNG face do you want to see come back? I know, Leah Brahms.
Okay,
Ooh,
I want to see Leah Brahms. Maybe she's at Daystrom. Maybe I don't know, but I just want to see her. That'd be great.
Do you want her to be Geordi's wife?
Yeah, that's what let's say.
I don't know.
Wife.
One or the other, I don't care.
I think in modern sensibilities, given how creepy that episode with her was, I don't think they would marry her to him. I really don't think they would. And they did the alternate reality.
Did,
yeah. But I think nowadays they wouldn't. I don't think so.
Yeah. Well, if they're not, that's fine. I just think she was a great character, and I want to see more.
Yeah, I would love to see her again. And whether she's his wife or not, even if it's like the funny joke they tell at parties is about how the first time they met, he was hanging out with her hologram, to embarrass him. But if not, I'm perfectly fine with that too.
Right.
Yeah, I mean, I've been loving the direction of this season so far. I think I wish they could have done this for 3 years.
Yeah.
Amen.
And spaced it out. Like I felt like Ro could have had more space for her story.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Because they were, as much as I enjoyed it, it was real quick from I hate you first to like crying and holding each other almost. You know what I mean? Over the course of like 10 minutes.
Yeah.
Exactly.
And then they're in that freaking bar again in the holodeck.
Yeah. It was just
as soon as they
already
walked
there. Like the doors open and it was already there.
Right. It's like a permanent program running or something. And as soon as they did, I was like, oh, this place again? Come on.
And
at least
so
make
the
it look like
safety lock?
What's that?
Yeah, like actual 10 forward.
Are the safety locks off? Because Picard pulled a phaser out from behind the bar, but it was a holographic bar. So he turned the safety locks off? Oh, I missed that.
There was a screen under the bar and
I missed that.
Off.
Yeah, he was gonna shoot her. I guess he was figuring she was a changeling. He was gonna shoot her dead. Well, maybe not dead, but he was gonna shoot her.
Yeah. Well, that was sort of the theme of the episode is don't trust anybody and who's a changeling. And I did kind of like the only way they had to figure out who was a changeling was to get to those like raw emotions that of their shared experiences.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
I thought that was good. I thought that was pretty clever.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And piggyback what Alan's saying earlier about how the bug creatures would fit into that. Remember, that was their weakness. They had a lack of memory and they didn't always quite react like the person because they couldn't tap into all that deep part of them.
Yeah.
Yeah.
God, I wish it had been them.
We could have had elderly people kicking each other in the face and
well, what's weird is the main reason Terry Matalas said he rejected those creatures from Conspiracy is what I think on his part a misunderstanding of the episode. He said that anybody taken over by one of those bug creatures died, and that's not true. They killed some, but Admiral Quinn in that episode, who was taken over, absolutely lived. But Terry Matalas specifically said, if I put the bugs in my primary characters, which I wanted to do, I would then be killing a bunch of TNG actors. a character.
That means that some of them actually are changelings. He has given himself away.
I didn't even think about that. Oh, yeah.
I'll be annoyed if it's any of the big, like, great scenes. Like, if either Crusher or Picard in that scene with Crusher and Picard were changeling, I'm going to be just super annoyed. It won't be like on DS9 when you found out Julian was a changeling for like 5 episodes. That won't be cute in this one because I haven't seen them all for like 20 years. You know? We had Julian every season.
I just want to point out that I thought Riker was not Riker.
That's true. You did.
Yeah, that's a good point. You did say that. Yeah.
Double down just in case he's a changeling.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Riker's a changeling. Been decided.
All right.
Wouldn't it be funny if locked up somewhere there's a Shaw who's like heroic and really cool and respectful, and I know they never do that, but a completely different guy who wants to charge in, a damn the torpedoes kind of guy.
Yeah, he could be a changeling. We don't know. Like that I think he could get away with. All right. Well, I'll have to wait to find out. Veronica and I are going to miss the next 2 episodes of the podcast because we have to. Yeah. So how many we left hanging? So no one watch it till I get back.
Okay, we won't. We promise.
All right, Alan, where can people find more of you?
Okay, well, I have another podcast which everyone should listen to, and it is called Modern Musicology, and we have had some great guests on recently. We have an interview this Sunday night, which will go out next Monday, with a legendary bass player that has played on basically every record that's ever been released. If you're a rock fan, and in particular if you're a Peter Gabriel fan, you will know who this is. And then the week after that, we're interviewing the rhythm section of one of my favorite bands.
Okay.
Very exciting. So everybody should get on board and listen to Modern Musicology.
Awesome. And how about you, Keith?
You can find me on the standard social media sites, Twitter, Instagram, and Facebook, primarily the ESO Network Facebook groups.
And how about us, Veronica?
Feltnerdy.com.
And?
Monkeying Around, a podcast about the monkeys.
That's right. And we're part 1 of our interview with Marty Ross has just recently come out. That's Marty Ross of the New Monkeys, which is a lot of fun.
Yes. It was a fun episode, y'all.
Yes. It was. We had a great time, and part 2 is even better.
Yes.
So that
I can't imagine.
Yeah, that comes out in a couple of weeks. So just keep an eye on Monkeying Around because we had a great time.
Yeah.
And that first half does have a really interesting Star Trek connection, and there's really, really interesting story about sharing convention space at a table next to Next Generation, and it's kind of funny.
Yeah.
Yes.
Right.
Everyone should listen to that.
Star Trek came up a lot in that episode.
Yeah, it did.
All right, Veronica, do you have a closing for us this week?
Let's get out of here.
Okay.
That's what Shaw
I'm
said.
all for that.
That's what Shaw said.
Did he? Okay.
Yes.
All right.
Oh, shit. That's funny. All right. Take care, everybody. We'll see you next week.
Thanks, everybody, for joining us.
Right on.